to Gearhead's World, where we show you good times, all kinds of racing, all kinds of cruising, all kinds of wrenching, and everything else Gearhead.
Part of your fender.
It flew off at the finish line. I'm going to try to get him to go.
Oh no!
Okay, so I took the Flying Dutchman out to PIR for a little shakedown cruise. It's been a few years since I last had her out there. I've made a lot of changes, so it was time to get out there and hammer it, see if it was going to hang. And I was real happy with the way she ran. She ran like the wind, but as you can see, she was blazing the tires quite a bit. The car's not really set up for drag racing. I really had more of a pro touring thing in mind here with the modifications I've been making to the car. It has a NASCAR rear suspension underneath it in the back. If anybody saw my Burnout video that I did last weekend, you saw the truck arm rear suspension underneath this thing, which you'll probably never see under another Camaro. But at any rate, I have real stiff shocks and springs and real bad weight transfer for drag racing. The front end, not so bad. I've got lighter springs and 90-10 shocks in the front. But all the same, made a lot of changes, put a much looser converter in the car, and so it was all a mystery. So the old girl wouldn't hook up, which is great for burnout contests, but not so good for ET bracket racing. So I thought maybe it'd be a good time to talk a little bit about ET bracket racing, seeing how there are so few gearheads here in Portland that seem to know anything at all about, I hate to say it, but about any kind of racing. I'll get into that later. I'll give my little diatribe later on that. But so I thought I'd talk a little bit about ET racing for those who might like to get schooled a little bit on what it's all about. So we saw that the thing was not hooking up, which might have been beneficial to some of those motorheads had they dared to take me up on my earlier $1,000 challenge. But now that I'm broke, well, actually I do have some cash, and I have some other tires and a few other Go Fast goodies, plus I have some friends with faster cars over in their garages. I'm having a little fun with my old street racing days. I used to hear that quite often. Oh yeah, my buddy's got one over in his garage to take your car. I go, hey, bring him on out. I got the cash right here. But at any rate, actually, what I'd really like to do is go up against those dudes down there in the Lone Star State, those Texans that are on cable TV doing all that street racing. Man, that looks like fun. I'd like to swap around some engines and things with a few buddies and whatnot, and go down there and take them on. Anybody from Texas watching this? How about someone from the Pacific Northwest coming down and playing with you? It'd be a lot of fun, I'm sure. Their cars are fast. I'll give it to them. So anyway, not hooking up throws one variable into trying to ET bracket race, because getting traction is pretty important. I posted up my time slips on my 5 passes that I made, and what you do is you just try to tune in your car by making passes and just shake it down. And so my very first time run in quite a few years was a no glasses. I ran a 772, which that's fast for a car, like a street car. This is kind of a morphodite. But anyway, so 772, my reaction time was horrible. It was like a .260, and you can see that my 60-foot time was not so good. What was it? 1.95, which is not considered good. Unfortunately, it's been so long since I've been bracket racing, I'm not quite sure what a good 60-foot time even is. Can somebody tell me? Leave a comment. So that's my baseline time, so the deal is to work it down from that. And I ended up making my second pass was pretty much back-to-back, because I was trying to get, we only get 3 passes in before we have to run eliminations. So I jumped in another line and was able to run back through with a second pass, which was pretty similar. My reaction time improved to a .174, which is still horrible. And the 60-foot time a little bit better, 1.92, and my ET dropped to a 764. So that was my second run, and before I ran my third run, I had time to get underneath the back of the car and turn my jack bolts down. My car's not set up like a regular NASCAR stock car where you can just throw your speed handle down through a fender and turn it. I have to crawl up underneath around the back of the tire, reach up inside the wheel well, the wheel tub of the car, and turn my jack bolts. I dropped the back of the car down in an attempt to get more traction, because I had jacked it up in order to fit those other tires on it when I did that Burnout Contest over in that little town of Sherwood. That's kind of how I broke my car in when I got it started this weekend. I took it straight up there and burned the hell out of the tires. I'll put the video, put a link over here if you haven't seen that video, if you're curious about it. Kind of smoked the old girl out pretty good. So, and that in turn gave me a better 60-foot time, dropped down to a 1.85, which is pretty significantly better. And I also improved my reaction time to a .095, you know, which is not so great. But, you know, you're trying to get used to all that speed and all the other things that you deal with when you have a car that's Fasst, and I dropped the ET considerably down to a 7.46. So I decided to dial it in at a 7.40, knowing that she has a lot more in her, but you never know. You know, I'm driving it, I'm foot braking it, no electronics. You know, use a line lock to do a burnout, and then I foot brake launch it. Drag racing has come a long way since the old days when we used to roll those 4-speeds and push on clutches. I actually kind of miss that. I wish I could go back and do that. But now all these other electronics are around it. I don't even want to get into it all. But my technique was just to foot brake launch it from basically from an idle, and then I was playing with my nitrous switch in between the gears. But and then on this last pass, what I did, I backpedaled it off the line and then got back into it, and that helped me. Yeah, so anyway, I see I have some lens flare in this little production here, but it's okay. You guys don't need to see me anyway. You probably don't want to hear me either. You probably already shut it off. But anyway, so I ended up running the first round, and I dropped the back of the car down even more, and I didn't expect to get past that, because experience really does make a big difference in bracket racing, and trying to run against those locals when you don't hardly ever run is usually not very productive. But at any rate, I ran this first run, and I ran this really slow truck and beat him. I ran him down at the other end and braked it. So see, I got a round one. It was my reaction time was still no good, 0.102. But I actually ran a 7.43 on my 7.40 dial-in, which is, you know, not so bad considering all the variables, the lack of traction, and dealing with my 60-foot times and my reaction times. So, and the 60-foot time was 1.837, which was better too. So actually, I got to say, it was kind of easy to win. I mean, I beat the guy straight out because his reaction time was horrible. 0.223. So at any rate, I was able to drop it down some more after that, my jack bolts, and ran the next guy. This guy was considerably better, and it was a close race. Let's see. I ended up turning a 7.44, and but my reaction time sucked worse, 0.133. I don't know, maybe it's better than red lights, because it used to be that's all I ever did was get red lights, but because I was always so anxious. But and at 1.83 60-foot time. So anyway, yeah, that's how it ended up, and the guy just barely got me, but he obviously knew what he was doing. So he got the win that he deserved, and I was happy to conclude my day, because I learned a lot from my car. I shed some parts off of it. You know, like my carbon fiber heat extractor out of one of my fenders, I showed in the video there, flew off at the finish line. Fortunately, somebody told me. Anyway, somebody saw it happen, and then track workers went and got it. Not a scratch on that thing. Can you believe that? I just can't believe that. I just don't have that kind of luck usually. I'm just happy to get it back, much less in perfect condition. I will install it more permanently this time. So, what else can I bore you with? My diatribe about racing in Portland. Oh God, I could go on and on about that. The pathetic situations that we've seen so many times, but with all the potential we have here too. Is it time for a break? How about a commercial break or something? I gotta compose myself. Okay, so I've been accused by people off and on through the years as being a little off I'm kind of an edge liver, and because I'm such a speed freak and I like to do exciting things with cars and so forth. And as a promoter, I've tried some innovative things here that I've picked up elsewhere in my travels. And really, at this point, it used to bother me, but I take exception to that now, because in my travels, these things that I've done up here, I learned them elsewhere in other towns in this country. And it's not so much me being such an outcast as it is frickin' Portland being weird. You know, Portland is known for being a weird town, and I swear to God that filters right into the hot rodding scene in this town. I've been down in other cities, and let me tell you, there's hundreds and hundreds of other cities and towns all across this nation that the state of motorsports is way beyond up here in Portland. Even here, even when we have California down below us and we've got Seattle up above us, they're so far advanced beyond us. You know, why that is, it just is, I guess. But there are so many street rodders, and of course, you know, this applies everywhere too, but mega dollars they've got invested in their rides now, huge engines and, you know, beautiful cars, but they don't see one bit of actual competition. You know, they just get showed off and they look pretty. I don't know, I mean, they were built to compete. That's what hot rodding is based on, and that's what still happens in a lot of towns all over the nation. All we can do is sit and watch it all on cable TV. I mean, that's the best that we can do here in this town. So, yeah, that's the reason I wanted to talk a little bit about one kind of racing here, and so that maybe I could educate a few new hot rodders out there that have never even been close to a track. We go to, you know, we have this great, really bitchin' cruise on Wednesday nights when we're bracket racing out there. There's 1,000+ hot rods show up at some of those nights in the summer, and you know, hardly any of them even come over to the drags and even see what's going on. You know, they got the grass over there and nice wine and live music. Oh, it's so relaxing and nice and everything, which is great. I like it. It's a nice little break, but you know, come on guys, get your goddamn car out there and race it. You can do it. I mean, you don't have to do much to it to take it down the track. I mean, just so you can say you did it. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm done now. And so, you know, that Beaches is a cool event, but you know, any event that excludes other hot rodders, you know, I got a problem with that. I just don't think it's cool. There's a whole swath of years of cars that they never let in there, and yeah, I think that's BS actually. You know, there's ways that it could be done if they put forth the effort. There's more room out there that could be made for more cars on a lot of the nights that these events happen. Granted, when they've got 1,000+ on some of those nights, it's tough. The whole place is packed. But that's not like that every night. I know they let certain cars in here. They get Corvettes, you know, and then fancy sports cars get in all the time, and all the motorcycles and stuff. You know, the motorcycles don't take up that much space, so that's cool. But I mean, there's all kinds of cars all through the late 70s and all through the 80s and into the 90s. A lot of cool cars out here, and they can never get into that. They should have nights where they're allowed to come in. What else can I complain about? Maybe I should just stop. All right, I'm just about done.